So guys, we have some amazing games coming to Game Pass this February. I'm Sonny, your host, and we start with another Crab's Treasure that's already on Game Pass but now joins Game Pass Standard. This unique Souls-like game is where you play a crab on a journey to recover his lost shell. This has been one of the most underrated titles to drop in 2024, a game with really fun combat, one I really couldn't recommend more, especially with over 12,000 positive user reviews. This one lands on February 5th on Standard. Another game joining Game Pass Standard is Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes. This JRPG brings a classic look but modern gameplay. It has 100 different heroes to choose from, all different, as you go on a journey to fight a war against an evil empire trying to expand its power and rule the world. This one also joins Game Pass Standard on February 5th. Now our next game needs no introduction. Also joining Game Pass Standard is Starfield. This is one of my personal favorite games of the past few years. Now sure, this game didn't reinvent the wheel, but it brought us a Bethesda game in space. If you're looking for an open world space game with tons of exploring and lots of missions to dive into, Starfield is an awesome choice. Personally, I have 100 hours and I've really enjoyed Starfield. Obviously, this has already been on Game Pass, but it now joins Game Pass Standard on February 5th as well. Now, our next game is one that is new to Game Pass, but also making a return to Game Pass in Kingdom 2 Crowns. This is kind of like a tower defense city builder, but only in 2D with some really cool, unique visuals. And here you defend your kingdom, or you can actually conquer lands as well. There's been several free updates to the game that have dropped, and you can journey in one of the updates. You can journey through Japan and Shogun, and another area called Deadlands, and then there's a challenge island for those who want a harder difficulty. The game also has online co-op with one other person, or even split screen locally, which is pretty unique if you have a buddy to play with. Kingdom 2 Crowns returns to Game Pass on February 13th on cloud and consoles. Now another title that's been on Game Pass but is now seeing an Xbox One and cloud gaming beta release on Game Pass is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This is the sequel to Fallen Order. If you're looking for, guys, an amazing Star Wars game and some epic lightsaber fights, it doesn't get much better, and being able to play this via the cloud is freaking awesome in my opinion. This game also has a pretty good story. I won't spoil it, but either way, this is now available on Xbox One and cloud gaming. We have Far Cry New Dawn today joining Game Pass, and this isn't the best Far Cry game out there, and that's pretty much clear from the reviews, from the player reviews. But for anyone who's played Far Cry 5, you're going to be interested in this one. It's kind of like a direct sequel to the game, which we don't usually get from Ubisoft. Now, New Dawn picks up a few years after the events of Far Cry 5, set in the vibrant Hope County, but it comes with a new twist. Now, one thing I do want to mention before I go a little further, Far Cry 5 has really been liked for its intense gunplay, the massive world design, and New Dawn brings that back. However, that twist is the post-apocalyptic setting that you're now in, plus there's a lot more other improvements like better crafting mechanics and a lot more. And one good thing too is you didn't need to have to have played Far Cry 5 before diving into this one. I mean, you could, but New Dawn is more like a spin-off more than it is a sequel. This one is set to come out today on Game Pass. A game that's making its way to Game Pass that we have all been waiting for is Avowed, and we have been watching this one for so long, and it's obviously a game that's taken its inspiration from titles like Skyrim, so you already kind of know it's going to deliver that epic RPG experience. Now here the story revolves around this brave soldier who's sent to fight off a mysterious plague that's turning people and wildlife into monsters, and you've got these massive battles, a rich world to explore, and a mix of old school fantasy elements with some really cool modern twists. The most exciting part of this game is certainly the combat, featuring this kind of rare mix of melee, magic, and firearms, which is something you don't really see in a lot of games. I really feel like this is shaping up to be a must play, and it's coming straight out to Game Pass as a day one title on February 18th. So recently, the developer direct obviously brings a lot of cool new information about Game Pass games and games that we're looking forward to, and one of the highlights was getting a release date for South of Midnight. Now this game first grabbed all of our attention with its reveal trailer back in the day, and it had like this spooky yet fascinating look to it that kind of left us wanting to know a little bit more, and we finally get that. Now in this game you play as a witch, or they're calling like a magic weaver, on a journey to learn about her family's past, and while she explores this mysterious world full of strange creatures, and from what I've gathered so far, you'll be facing these like really big colossal monsters using magic, and some of them can even be friendly and help you traverse these dangerous lands. This one is set to come out here really soon on April 8th as a day one Game Pass title. Now the surprise drop at the developer direct, if you haven't heard, is Ninja Gaiden 4. This is going to be the latest entry to the epic hack and slash action adventure adventure game, and we finally got our first look at it, and honestly, it's everything us fans could have hoped for. The relentless action is back in full force, complete with all the gore, intensity, and chaos that has made the series so iconic. And we'll be back in the shoes of Ryu, and this time you are saving Tokyo from a dreadful curse. Now, the trailer showed us this new futuristic setting and some intense boss fights with the series' signature fast-paced combat, so it's gonna be another action-packed, linear level-based adventure that we've really come to love with the series. And since this game is getting published by Microsoft, it's of course gonna be another day one Game Pass title, and it's set to come out this fall in 2025. And it looks like we are also getting one of the most awaited shooters coming to Game Pass this 2025, and we're talking Doom: The Dark Ages. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are as excited as I am, because this one does look like it's bringing all the gore and action of the original Doom with new weapons, new shields, more reckless enemies, and a whole different game world. Dark Ages is going to be the prequel to Doom Eternal and Doom 2016, and it's taking us right back to the beginnings, where we're going to be wreaking havoc on an army of demons in a medieval hell setting. And this time we're going to be shredding those monsters with a super shotgun and a brand new shield saw. So basically it's going to be that same epic action, but told in a totally different way. Dark Ages is also set to join Game Pass as a day one title very soon as well, on May 15th. Now, another game that just got a release date is Expedition 33, and I can't tell you how excited I am for this one, especially after the developer direct. And I've talked about this game before. It's easily one of the more stunning looking turn-based RPGs we've seen. This one tells a hauntingly tragic story about the last remaining survivors who made it their mission to stop an evil deity from taking any more lives. Of course, that journey won't be easy. You'll be facing a variety of enemies and monsters along the way, each demanding careful strategies to overcome. Now, the combat here looks really intense, but also rewarding. It's shaping up to really be a truly special game from what I'm seeing, and the best part, as we've said here in all these game announcements, is this is coming as a day one Game Pass game on April 24th. So the next couple games here are rumored, but more than likely, as I'm saying rumored, they might be announced by the time this video gets out, so these might actually be confirmed. So we're just gonna kind of go through these, and we'll have kind of a disclaimer just in case. But our first game here is Crash Bandicoot 4: It's About Time. This one is an exceptionally fun platforming adventure that is loved by everyone, kids and adults. Crash Bandicoot 4 keeps that classic feel of the older games intact, but adds tons of new twists to make things even more addicting. And don't worry if you're new to the series, it's really super easy to pick up and play. One of the best things about this is the option to choose between two modes, retro and modern. In retro mode, you've got limited lives, and running out means starting over, giving that kind of old school experience, while modern is more forgiving, letting you respawn at the last checkpoint so you can kind of keep the fun going. Either way, it's an awesome addition to the Game Pass lineup, and one that I'm really excited to see drop. Now, our next one that is quote-unquote rumored is Madden NFL 25. More than likely this is going to happen, as it happens every year. This makes sense. As I mentioned, EA typically announces it right before Super Bowl, but with the latest installment, this game really hasn't lived up to, like, you know, what a lot of us expect out of a really good football game. I mean, it's a solid one. The on-field gameplay is incredibly smooth. It's got improved tackle mechanics, better collision handling, and it makes it one of the more polished experiences in the series. I guess my problem with this franchise is typically, like, the career mode isn't as good as like MLB The Show 25, or, you know, even NBA 2K. Madden's always just kind of been the same thing every year. But either way, if you guys are excited, a little bit like I am, because I know I'll play this. I do every single year. I play it for like a month and then kind of give up and wait for the next year. But this will hopefully be joining Game Pass here soon. Now, our third rumored game is Heroes of the Storm, and honestly, this was a little bit of a surprise. It's already a free-to-play MOBA with a big fan base, and Blizzard has kept it alive with regular updates since its release. If the game does make its way to Game Pass, it's definitely going to bring a bunch of new and returning players, which is good, especially if it comes with perks, which I'm expecting it does. As a Game Pass user, you'll probably get free skins, boosts, or exclusive content to keep things fresh and engaging. Unfortunately, I'm kind of saying this before we get the announcement, so hopefully maybe I'll have a graphic that shows what you're getting free. But either way, Heroes of the Storm is looking like it's set for Game Pass here pretty soon. Now, a game I'm hoping to see this February on Game Pass is The Alters, since it's set to release in the first quarter of 2025. I've been following this game for some time. It's shaping up to be something really unique. In this game, you play as an engineer stuck on an abandoned planet with no one to help you out, but you do have this technology that lets you create different versions of yourself called alters to survive, essentially like clones. Each alter has different skills based on choices they've made in their version of their life, and you'll need their help to solve problems and figure out a way out of the planet. It's got this brilliant mix of strategy, decision making, and storytelling that will, I really feel, draw you in. If you're into games that make you really like engaged and thinking on the fly, this one's worth keeping an eye out. Now, another game we have coming to Game Pass soon is Winter Burrow. It's a super cozy survival game where you play as a cute little mouse who heads to his aunt's old burrow only to find her missing and the house in total disrepair. And your job is to fix up this burrow and search for clues about where she might have gone, but everything's covered in snow, which makes everything, very mundane, every little task that you do very hard. You'll have to do things like gather resources and fight hostile creatures, craft items, cook food, and also talk to the locals. The game does have like a unique art style that gives it a charming look, and it's a little bit of what I'd say a very unique survival game as well. So it's just fascinating. This one is set to release here pretty soon on Game Pass as a day one Game Pass title. And then finally, guys, we have the games that are leaving Game Pass, including some that look pretty decent, but overall not too many big games. Either way, you do have that 20% discount if you're interested in buying any of the games leaving Game Pass.